So when I was 20 years old, I was in third year of college, I tried to kill myself. I set myself on fire. Every time a woman speaks up, or a man speaks up, their motivations are questioned, their characters are assassinated, they're pushed further and further away from recovery. I am Reema Ahmad. I am a child sexual abuse awareness advocate. I am a sexuality educationist and a trainer. I'm not here to talk about or focus on my story, so to speak, but my intention is to discuss the major events that shaped my life and made me who I am, and shaped my work, and my learnings from that, and how we can change our narratives and our stories. So, to begin with, when I was 6 years old, I was sexually abused and raped by an older cousin. And at that time, it didn't feel like much, because when you're a child, you don't really know what's going on, just this feeling of deep unease in the pit of your stomach, and as if something very precious has been taken from you, but you don't know what that is. I felt the effects of that as I grew older, and there was this deep sense of guilt and shame about everything, especially my body, how I was, how I dealt with people, and it still affects my personal relationships. I have come a long way from that, and one of the ways I've been able to do that is through self-work, a lot of self-work and analysis about why this happens, because clearly I'm not the only one this happens to. As a national study suggests that 6 out of 10 Indian children suffer sexual abuse at some point in their lives. 6. It's clearly reached scary proportions, and through my work, I discovered why that is so. So on the one hand, we as a culture bring up children, especially boys, who are allowed to be aggressive, who are allowed to be bullies, who are allowed to be violent. And on the other hand, we're bringing up girls, not teaching them how to say no, not teaching them how to take ownership over their bodies. And there is no consistent background education on body safety, on abuse prevention, on just simply speaking out. We do not give our children that room. And you add to that a culture, toxic culture of masculinity that doesn't allow boys to explore their sensitive sides, to explore their gentler sides. And boys who do not conform to those masculine stereotypes also fall victim to abuse. Boys are sexually abused as well. So this is the culture that we're living in. It's toxic. No wonder we are becoming the rape and CSA capital of the world. The second part of my story is just as unpleasant. So when I was 20 years old, I was in third year of college, I tried to kill myself. I set myself on fire. To this day, I have no clear recollection of why I did that. Nobody was beating me up. No one was really pushing me in ways. I wasn't really stuck in a very difficult corner. All that was happening was that through the years, I'd carried this burden of grief, of guilt, of shame inside myself, and I couldn't speak about it, because I'd been brought up with this whole idea of you're strong, you're a girl, you're a woman, you have to learn to put up with things, you have to learn to be brave. There was no room to talk about trauma. There was no room to discuss it, to assess it, to seek help. I couldn't ask for help. Nobody knew what was going on with me, and didn't have the vocabulary to talk about it, really. And during college, I was stuck in a very abusive, emotionally abusive relationship, and it just exploded. One day, something just snapped, and I did it. I'm not very proud about it, and it's something that has taken me a long time to recover, but it's a learning. It's a learning about how lightly, as a culture, we take mental health issues, that we do not address depression, anxiety, shame in children, in young adults, in adults. So especially when it comes to survivors of child sexual abuse, we do not realize that the effects of that are far-reaching, way into adulthood. What happens is, when a survivor comes out, they are shamed further and pushed further and further away from recovery. With the whole Metoo movement that's going on now, every time a woman speaks up, or a man speaks up, their motivations are questioned, their characters are assassinated, they're pushed further and further away from recovery. And all of this begins very, very early on. All of survivors, they display signs of something not being well with them in childhood. Most children, most children will display some signs of what's wrong with them. They'll either go quiet, or they become aggressive, or they'll be unable to perform, and they're taunted for it. Nobody tries to sort of put a finger on what's going on and try and analyze it or get them help. So I have failed to sort of record the number of times I was shamed for being a certain way. I was labeled the weird kid in the family and in school because I was very, very quiet. I couldn't perform very well, and I was constantly compared to my high-achieving siblings without anyone paying attention to why was I like this? What was I struggling with? I'm not saying that families of survivors don't care. They do care. But they're so terrified of facing reality, so terrified of log kya kahenge, that they just don't want to talk about it. And it's a problem. It's a huge problem that we need to address. So after I had tried to kill myself, I did something even crazier. I decided to get married. So for someone who'd just displayed such a severe lack of judgment, that wasn't a very clever thing to do, right? But it's amazing how all the stories that you've heard about love being the rescuer, love being the cure for everything, all those Bollywood narratives that surround us, कि प्यार सब ठीक कर देता है, शादी कर लोगे तो सब ठीक हो जाएगा. ठीक सिर्फ ये होता है कि मुसीबत मल्टीप्लाई हो जाती है. And it's like it hits you many years down the line, like it hit me. I was clearly a broken person. I was clearly struggling with a lot. But instead of identifying my problems and taking care of myself first, I decided to get married and complicate my life even more. Needless to say, it was a disaster. I struggled for a long time, and by the end, I could come out of a toxic, abusive marriage. I was broken. I had no self-confidence. I had no financial support. I had a child to take care of, and I was a raving lunatic. And it makes me think time and time again, why do young people, especially girls, fall prey to this idea of romance, of love as being this elixir of sorts, which will rescue you, which will help you, which will make you something that you can't be on your own. And it frustrates me so much, that we have to look at love to heal ourselves. There can be no healing unless you attempt to heal yourself. You cannot help anybody, and you cannot keep anyone happy, and you certainly cannot have stable relationships until you stable yourself. And so that's kind of been my learning, that if we use love as a crutch, अगर हम खुद को बेहतर महसूस कराने के लिए मोहब्बत का सहारा लेते हैं, तो वो सहारा सिर्फ बैसाखी है. And what we're going to do is keep hobbling the rest of our life. So a big part of my work is around abuse awareness. It's around mental health. It's around creating alternative narratives. So last year, I founded an initiative called Candidly with my long-term friend and partner, Amita Malhotra. And we create stories that are different from what you generally see. We're very excited about this gender-neutral T-shirt line called Equality that supports and encourages girls to be not just equal to boys, but powerful. It enables them to think beyond our cultural and social stereotypes that girls are supposed to be a certain way, and also encourages boys to look beyond those stereotypes. Also encourages boys to think that you can be kind and gentle too. You needn't be strong and hyper-masculine all the time, which is what is part of the problem. And we're just creating new stories that teach you to seek help on your own, to look at your own self for empowerment, for rescue, for healing. Nobody else should be able to do that for you. Nobody else can do that for you. The three major learnings that I will leave you with that helped me to recover and heal is, first, to seek help when you're struggling, to ask for help. Second, to seek forgiveness, not just from other people, but also from yourself. Because when you do stuff like self-harm, you're hurting yourself, but you're also hurting those close to you. And it's an immense burden that you carry with you, so seek forgiveness. And third, find that power to change your suffering from grief to opportunity. Almost as if you're creating it and making a tool that can be used to help other people see from darkness to light, a tool that can be used to create alternative narratives about your life. As human beings, our choices are very, very limited, but we have that one choice to change our focus, to shift our focus from the past to the future, from suffering to opportunity. This is an opportunity that you have. So change your narratives, go tell your stories, use your stories to create the world that you'd like to see, to create your own new story. Enable yourself, because as this great poet that I admire and have always been in love with, Jigar Muradabadi says, अपना ज़माना आप बनाते हैं अहले दिल, हम वो नहीं कि जिनको ज़माना बना गया. Thank you. Thank you for watching this talk. Don't forget to comment below and subscribe to George Talks.